Thomas Troward talked about the starting point. I love that man's work. I truly love it. Now, the starting point is such a magnificent concept. It's something that you can read over and over and over again. He says it's an old saying that order is heaven's first law. And like many other old sayings, it contains a much deeper philosophy than appears immediately on the surface. Order is heaven's first law. Calm. Everything positive you can think of. You could speak in superlatives all day long and you'd still fall short. You're talking about something beyond the scope of our vocabulary. All of our words in our vocabulary are third dimensional words. And when you get into talking about God, Spirit, Infinite, you don't have a word in your vocabulary to describe that. You've gone beyond the third dimension. So we're talking about something that's so good, you can't even describe it. That's a heavenly state. Now he says, getting things into a better order is the great secret of progress. It's the great secret of progress. If you want to make progress, make order essential in your life. Got to have order. We're now able to fly through the air, not because the laws of nature have been altered, but because we have learned to arrange things in the right order to produce this result. If all things are possible, we've always been able to fly. It was because we learned to arrange things in the right order to produce that result. Well, if you want to get a result you haven't got, if you want a result beyond where you're at, you got to get things into a better order. Things themselves had existed from the beginning of the world. What was wanting was the introduction of the personal factor. You'll hear people say, God will do it. God will not do it. You got to do it. God works to and through you, but you've got to do it. It doesn't matter what's happened in the past. You and I are creative beings. We can go with our mind and we can take ourselves there and we say, I'm going to do this. I'm going to bring this into form. I can see it. I can see it. If I can hold it in my head, I can hold it in my hand. Get serious, for goodness sake. You're the most powerful creature on the planet.
Hello folks, very good evening. Welcome along to day number 1 of this wonderful 5-day experience called Create Your Reality. So welcome along. Let me know if you're here. I would love to drop some comments in the chat, say hello, give me a wave, because we are in for just one incredible week. We may have people here who came back, who've been here before. That may be brand new for you. Wherever you are this week can be completely transformative for you. So welcome along. I hope we're all good. So it's just myself here tonight. Nikki, something's came up last minute that she's had to deal with. So it's just me. So we've got lots to share with you. Good evening, Lily. Lovely to see you. Hello there, Kirsten. You're across in Norway. Lovely. I hope you're doing well. Welcome along. So we'll give it a few minutes as people start to join us. We'll have been putting things into the chat to say that we're live, and we are expecting more people to come along. But as we keep on going, and for those of you here tonight, you've got plenty of time to watch back on replay as well. So there's lots of information we're going to be giving tonight. But this week, we would love for you just to be you. Use the chat when you can, interact, engage, and you're here for a reason. Okay, you are here because you've decided to commit. Something's called you to make the commitment, and we appreciate every single part of that attendance and that persistence and that commitment that you're going to give for yourself. Now, this is not about me. It's not about Nikki. It's not about anybody else here on the call. This is for you. So we are going to give you everything this week. Now, the reason why we're going to give you everything this week, not just tonight, because these 5 days are a sequence where each day is built upon the last. Good evening, Nikki. How are you? Nice to see you. Welcome along. If anybody else is just joining us, please do just say hello, give me a little wave. Let us know where you are in the world as well. We've got some people down in London, in Norway, in Scotland. Beautiful. And this week, I want to just lay some rules out for this week. You might be here because you want more insight. You might be here because you just would like to sit back and just assess and just think about what's going on here. But this is not about information. It's not just about insight. It's absolutely not about being passive. If you truly engage with what's going to happen this week, this can be transformative. Good evening, Julie, in Middlesbrough, North East. Lovely. I hope you're well. Thank you for being here tonight. And we're in Fife as well, Nikki. Love it, love it, love it. So as you look outside, I'm looking outside my window, looking across the wonderful River Tay that I'm very close here up in Scotland. I also see in my garden, spring has arrived. And I absolutely love this time of the year. Spring for me is just like other seasons, but this season for me means so much more than other seasons because there is change, visible change, not just change in terms of things getting dark and shriveling up and dying. This is now about growth. We see life, we see resurgence, we see all these things, and spring is in the air. But this is what also represents us. We are part of nature. So this week, what we would love you to do is to keep an open mind as we go through this. You may have came across some of this material before. Some of it may be brand new, but this week may disrupt your thinking to really consider where you are currently at, but more importantly, where you currently want to go. So if you're here because you want change, if you're here because you want some form of transformation, if you're here because you just want something else, type yes. Give me a yes inside the chat that you're here because you want to commit to something new. And as we go through this week, as I said, some of this information you may have heard before, but that's okay. We use a phrase saying that knowing is the enemy of learning. So you might turn up and say, well, I know this and I've heard this before. But this week, the question is going to be, if you know, if you already have seen or heard or watched or listened, have you really experienced the change that you know you really, really want? And whatever the answer is to that this week, we will help you unravel what you really want. And this is what starts tonight with really helping you create what we call an ambitious goal. So this week, we want you to be kind. So in the chat, be kind to one another. Be brave. We're going to ask you to step up many times. Even, I want you to reflect on how you feel just by typing in the chat. Do you feel this small urge of judgment? Can I really type that? What else can I put? You know, these feelings we're going to really uncover this week. And as you heard Bob, I love Bob. You know, we start with this Bob video every single week. Bob Proctor was one of the world's global leaders in thinking, but also really understanding how to change our deep internal programming to take us to the life that we desire. And we believe, myself and Nikki, that every single one of you, your birthright is to live a life of abundance and prosperity. And this week, we want you to really consider where you are, where you want to go, what's getting in your way, and we're going to give you the tools, we're going to give you strategies, we're going to give you the environment to really take the next 5 to 7 days to a completely different level. Does this sound like you're in the right place? Say yes if you feel you're in the right place, because this is the best material in the world we're going to be sharing this week. And Bob inspires us. Bob inspired me because actually I was speaking to one of my clients earlier on before we came on this call about, you know, my purpose in life is something I'm living right now. My purpose is to inspire. My purpose is to educate. My purpose is to empower all of you to realize you've got deep, deep reservoirs of potential buried deep within you. And this week, is really about unearthing these, allowing these to come up through all these virus codes we've got around us, these paradigms, these worries, these doubts, all of these things we're going to be touching on this week. Great, love it. Thank you, Nikki. Thank you, Lily. Thank you, Kirsten. Please engage. The more you engage, the more you're going to be present, the more you're going to be declaring you want something more, and the more you're going to get that back in return. So that's been my journey, because where you are sitting on the other side of the screen, that was me once. I was once sitting there searching for the answers. I was working long days, every day, weekends, really trying to make ends meet. I was trying to do all these different side hustles. I had this absolute passion to help, but I never seemed to be changing anything myself. And this is where I really started to have huge levels of doubt, imposter syndrome. And although I'm sitting here speaking to you on camera, there's still this little boy within me that did not believe in himself. So growing up, yes, I had this one side that was confident. I had this one side that would really go after things, but I had this other part of me that believed that other people were better than me. I felt inferior. I felt I didn't have the confidence. I felt that actually, if I do step up and be successful, that I'm going to get found out one of these days. I feel a bit of an imposter. Does this resonate with anybody here or listening in? Because that's okay. I understand that. But that part of us there is not the true self. The true self is the part I now understand that through the work I've been doing, that we have got a deeper meaning of being here. So if you're here because you want to find more ways of being more confident, of living more abundantly, of actually living your life on purpose. And what do I mean by that? Your purpose is something that you love to do. It's your why. Now, you don't define your purpose, you discover your purpose. And once you have an understanding of what you really love to do, then what we can do, starting tonight, is to create a vision of what that life looks like. That vision, that funnel that goes all the way out into the distance, that gets us to really think about our life in so many different areas. So the level of income that we've got coming in, the level of abundance in terms of health, in terms of happiness, in terms of relationships, in terms of success, in terms of impact, all these different aspects of our life. We can really consider this week, where do we want to be? Because although we do work with the best material in the world, some of this might sound like good chat. Nikki, if she was here tonight, would say Bob had good chat. The kind of chat when you come and work with me for 6 months, you will need a telescope to look back to where you started with. But that's what we do. This week is going to be a journey for you. My life has been a journey, and I still feel I'm still at the start. I've got so much more to explore through life and squeeze from life. And this is because I've got a new perspective on life. The way that I look at life now wasn't the same way that I looked at life even 5 years ago, even 4 years ago, 2 years ago, 1 year ago, because my perspective, I think, is changing all the time, because I'm understanding how much more potential I've got within me. And this is not to impress you, it's to impress upon you that you are built for more. And you're here for you. I want you to be selfish this week. I want you to really put all distractions away and really tune into what we're going to do here. I love that, Lily. Maybe not an imposter, but need to rebuild my confidence. Yep. And what we're going to touch on this week is, what is confidence? Because there's certain areas of your life where you are confident to do certain things because you've been doing it for that long. There probably isn't fear attached to that. You've got lots of faith, and we're going to touch on this as we go through this week. And that's what we talk about within our academy. When people come to work with us, it's not just 5 minutes or even 5 days. That full year in which we work with people within our academy is really understanding ourselves a lot more. And this is why I will never stop doing this for the rest of my life, because I'm changing. And as I change and understand me, I understand people a lot better. So that impacts on leadership, impacts on relationships, impacts on the environments that I choose to be around or not choose to be around. It lets me decide on my goals, the relationship with my wife, relationship with my children, relationship with myself, more importantly. So if you're here tonight because you haven't got a great opinion about yourself, then we can give you the tools this week to help change that. Because this is what we love to do, is understand where we are, understand where we want to go, but also understand what that gap in the middle there is that blocks us and limits us from moving forward. Because this is about really understanding that your mind is brilliant. You have got a brilliant mind that could be moulded and it could be shaped. And that's been happening since we've been 7 years of age. Okay? And we're going to touch on some of that this week. We're going to really touch on what that is. Is this making sense? Are you in the right place? Do you want to know more? Do you want to really unravel all this material? Give me some yeses in the chat. Because we've got so much to share this week. Myself and Nikki coming together, we bring, approximately 50 years worth of coaching experience, of just loving the impact we've had within organisations, on individuals, and we're still continually working on ourselves, because when we become the best version of ourselves, we can allow other people to become the best version of themselves. So this is why, this is not 1 or 2 days we spend on this. We spend our time on this 365 days of the year. And this is what we talk about, is the 1%. If you can become 1% better, what does that mean? It could mean 1% more confident. It could be 1% more self-love. It could be 1% more about overcoming blocks that are stopping you from going after what you really want. The 1% is all we're talking about here this evening, because 1% sometimes doesn't inspire us. We're going, woo, I'm 1% better. But the compound effect of that, 365 days of the year, you may think might be 365% of a difference. 1% of an improvement every single day for 365 days equates to just short of 3,800%. So over a course of a year, who here would like to be 3,800% better? Hands up who wants some of that. Give me yes if you want some of that, because this is what this material can do for you. The 1% compounded over every single day. And again, this is not a linear improvement. It could be overcoming challenges, dealing with failure, whatever that may be for you. This is what this is all about this week. So, it's your brilliant mind. Yes, I love that, Lily. Lily, I'm loving you being here, honestly. Lily was here last time round, and this is what happens when we keep coming back, because we can then benchmark, where were we this time last month? Where were we this time last year? But we only look back, as what Steve Jobs says, so we can join the dots to where we got here. If we want to be in a different place next month, next year, then we can have the best information in the world, but it's what we do with that. Nothing happens if nothing happens. And this is what this whole challenge and this whole week, this whole experience is all about. Okay? And this is why we've called this particular week, Create Your Reality. Because it's your thoughts that create your reality. So, welcome everybody tonight for this. Welcome Kirsten, welcome Maria, welcome Karen. Let us know where you are in the country, where you are in the world. Type in there where you currently are. Because what I'm doing here, I want you to think where you currently are. And I want people to see where you currently are, so they can think about what it's like where you currently are. And I want us to tap into our thinking processes here. So please be active here. Where are you in the world? Type your city, type your country, because that's a thinking exercise that we do. And when we see Dublin, great Karen, I'm thinking Dublin. I've been to Dublin. I had a great time in Dublin. I would love to go back to Dublin. Ireland, brilliant. So straight away we start to pull in memories, or we might associate it with a whole heap of different things. And this is why this week has been called Create Your Reality. If you're in Dublin or Ireland or Scotland, wherever we may be, our thoughts create your reality. And you're going to hear a few favourite words this week. For me, beliefs. I want beliefs to be one of your favourite words after this week. You want the subconscious to be one of your favourite words for this week. Because the more we add to our vocabulary and the more we start to understand, the more we can really start to do something about that. Lovely Angie in Cumbria. So we can see we've got people all over the UK. I know there's people in Norway as well. Kirsten's in Norway. There's people everywhere. But I want you to now focus on you. Because if you allow yourself, you can benefit from this experience to change. Now, what me and Nicky deeply believe is that you are people here looking for more. Would you agree? To experience more of life, more of liveliness. And how do we believe that? Because simply you are here and you've got no idea how much respect we have for you to be here. And we deeply believe that you want to help others as well. That you get to do that by being more of you, by doing more, by having more. And whether it's you're here because of your own products or services or knowledge, you might even have a skill or some form of technique that you've got. I don't know. But you've got beautiful talents that are buried deep, deep inside of you. And we've all got these gifts, but sometimes we need to have other people believe in us first before we believe in ourselves. Because you're here because we believe that you want to create a better life for you or for others. You want to give. You want to build. And what we know is that you have got so much potential within you, so much potential buried deep inside of you. You want to build your business, or you want to take your business to the next level, and that's great. Because as humans, we were designed for so much more. And the growth is at the root of our being. And if you look outside your window right now at spring around us, you will see growth happening so quickly, especially across here in sunny Scotland. We've had sun today, and you'll see the plants changing and the little buds coming through. So growth is at the root of our being. But we have been sold lies. All of our life, since we've been children, there's been lies that have been told us. Not purposefully, but those lies could be that money is really hard to make. Or that you just need to grin and bear it. Or you just take what's being given to you and be happy with your lot. There are so many little one-liners and beliefs that we've been sold on all of our life that are not serving us right now. And we're here this week, we're here today to help you really debunk a few of these and maybe have a different perspective on things. Using your imagination is not just for children, it is for us. And I love being really imaginative. There's certain phrases that we use within our academy, like Imagineering, which is really using your imagination to think about the life that you want. Visioneering, creating that vision of all the different aspects of your life. And we should be teaching little kids how to properly use this information, how to use that in the imagination, how to use it to transform themselves so that they can live the lives that they want to live. And we should do exactly the same. So here's the first real question for you tonight. How do you want to live? What do you want? Have a real think about that. And some of these questions might be quite profound. You might just ignore them. It's sometimes easier to ignore them. But now that you've been resigned to having, now, not what somebody around you wants for you, not that you've been sold as only one option. There's so many examples where, I once talked to 5 little children. I bought them ice cream and asked them, what do you want to be when you grow up? A few of my nieces and nephews, what do you want to be when you grow up? And one of them says, you know what? My dad says I need to be a lawyer because you make lots of money and I'm going to need a lot of money. And I thought, that belief is going to sit with that child for who knows how long. And how many people do you see in jobs that they hate, that they despise, but they're there because they believe that's what they've got to do to keep their family members happy, to keep other people comfortable. Because part of my story was I was living up to other people's expectations. Part of my story was I was involved in, I worked towards going to college and university to do professional sports coaching And I did that for a large part of my life. I felt the expectations to work my way through the ranks, becoming, within the sports development sector, helping people, but becoming a team manager about 25 in leadership positions. I loved helping and serving other people, but being within a public service sector job, it limited what I can do. But I was so scared to leave that because I felt that was my expectations, to go to uni, get a good job, get a decent pension, stay there as long as I want, and retire. But there was something deep inside me saying, I'm built for more. And this is when I decided that this is my life. And I stopped living up to other people's expectations. And no doubt some of you might be thinking about that, because as Bob would say in many of his videos, you get one shot at life in this body that we know of. So I'm here to give it everything I've got, and I want you to give it everything you've got. So let's really pull something out of the bag this week and start to live the life that maybe you fantasized about when you were a little kid. Does that make sense? Karen, thank you for sharing that. Yep, it's hard starting over. It will be challenging, and there'll be so many different thoughts and worries and doubts and fears. So why don't we use this week to look at current circumstances, but actually let's think about what you want those circumstances to be. And let's be really open and honest about how we navigate through them, because this is what this week is all about. And I suppose that's what our role this week is, me and Nikki's. Our role over the next 5 days is to lead that process for you, is to set that direction for you, is to hold that structure of the work this week. And I love that word structure, because order, as many of the lectures have said, order is heaven's first law. And what that means is, it means that if we don't have order, the opposite of order is chaos. It's a mess. And once we get order, we really start to put structure in place. So if that's our role, your role this week is to try and stay present. Notice your own responses when we're asking questions and when we're given this material. But more importantly, take responsibility for what you do with what you see. And no one can do that for you. And as you might have heard Bob said in that video, if it works for one person, it will work for all of you. Now, don't accept or reject anything. You might not understand everything. You might question things. You might feel unsure, but that's completely fine. That's part of the process. But notice what you're thinking. Notice if you're meeting this with curiosity or an open mind or rejection. But it's the noticing that is the important part of this, because this week we're going to show you something Bob used to say, that only 2% of people actually think, 3% think they think, and 95% would rather die than think. When I first heard that, I thought, so many different people came to mind just with that phrase, that only 2% of people actually think, 3% think they think, and 95% would rather die than think. How did we chuckle when I heard that? And I know what some of you are doing right now. You're sitting there thinking, what are these statistics? Where did that come from? And how on earth did you calculate that? What kind of people are these? Or maybe you're laughing a little bit like myself, or you're slightly irritated. And that's good. But it's all important, because the neuroscientists tell us now that by the time we're 35, 98% of our habitual behaviour is habitual. That's why it's called habitual behaviour. Or 98% of our behaviour is habitual. Our mind is like a computer. Psycho-Cybernetics. Now, we're going to refer to a lot of books this week. This is one book, Psycho-Cybernetics by Maxwell Maltz. And this is basically saying that our mind is like a machine. And it's set up for efficiency and safety. And so it automates our behaviour, which means we act without thinking. Now, this might serve us, but we don't have to get up every day, learn how to walk, how to use the bathroom, how to brush your teeth. But that also is the reason we have barriers and blockages to the things that we say we want. We know we want them, but we don't do them. Does that sound familiar? So today's dominant feeling was like yesterday's dominant feeling. And if we don't disrupt that pattern, then there's going to be tomorrow's dominant feeling as well. So if today you were feeling a bit hurried or anxious or happy or joyful, you're likely they were there yesterday, and it's likely that they'll be there again tomorrow. So I want you to write in the chat just now, and trust the word that comes up for you is exactly what you need, and write it. And I know what you're saying because I'm a mind reader. I can already hear it. But I think all the time. That's my problem. I can't stop thinking. Yes. But what's one word you're thinking about right now? Just type in the chat. What's that one word? Because thinking about things isn't the same as thinking. So stay with us this week. Stay with us till Friday. This will make perfect sense. Perfect sense. So what words are you thinking? What keeps coming up? Self-love. I love that, Lily. And whatever that may be, just put it in. There's no right or wrong, good or bad. Just put in what you're currently thinking of. Because personal development, real change, real life experience is not about collecting more information. Trust, love that. Fearful, Nikki. Good. So if personal development is not about more information and it's simply about learning how to think differently, then do you know how to think differently? Do you know how to maintain those thoughts that serve you versus the thoughts that don't serve you? Because if I think back to what Bob's saying within his video, the starting point for all achievement is desire. So if your thoughts aren't giving you the desire to go after what you truly, truly want, then we're being preoccupied with negative thinking because we've got negative thinking bias. And if we're thinking negatively, we're feeling negatively, we're acting negatively, guess what your results are going to show? So this work we're talking about this week is based on a simple truth. And look at all these words coming up. Something about self, something about fear, something about trust. And all these words are a simple truth that there is a connection between your thoughts, between your feelings, and your behaviours. Your behaviours create every single outcome and every result you've had to this point in time. Every single result. Think about that for a second. Kirsten's asking, why does it feel so complicated to have self-love? I don't dare say it why the way I know I want. And that's what we're going to touch on, not tonight, but later on this week. Self-love is my favourite subject to talk about. Because not only does it make us feel better about ourselves, when you understand the science behind self-love, then that can create a paradigm shift in you that can give you an opportunity to really start to love yourself a lot more. Why? Because I've been involved in professional sport, public health, understanding the science that links chronic stress with physical inactivity and diet. And out of these things, it's the relationship we have with ourselves that has an impact on our aging process. I'm digressing off script here a bit. But the more love you've got for oneself, your cells, from under a microscope, you will notice a cell that's been loved versus a cell that's not been loved. And what I mean by that, the more self-love we have, the longer we live. Because inside our cells, at the very core of them, there's little things called telomeres. Now, the work of Joe Dispenza, if anybody loves the work of Joe Dispenza, he hypothesized, he guessed, if we were able to be calm and practice mindfulness and meditation, this is the work that Nikki does. If we really, really have times when we're calm, and what we do, he thought that we can slow down the shortening of these telomeres, because the shorter they go, then the quicker the aging process speeds up and cells are more susceptible for abnormalities. But he's now shown the science is we can reverse this by calming the mind. We calm the body, and we can actually add years to our life. So self-love is not just about thinking about oneself, It's actually thinking about this vessel that we carry about, and the more we treat this with respect, the longer we've got on this planet. And this starts with having really ambitious goals. Why ambitious goals? Because the more ambitious they are, the more worthy they are of you. The more self-worth you have of yourself, the more you love yourself. And when you've got these paradigms and these self-limiting beliefs that come up across you, your desire is stronger than your fears. And when your desires are stronger than your fears, you will do anything every single day. Your why will pull you up your bed. Your why will get you to break through that fear. The why will give you that purpose to stop bothering what you think other people are thinking about you, because it's not true. And the more we really link into this, that self-love, and it doesn't happen overnight, but it takes repetition to do this. So we're going to give you the tools this week to give you so much more self-love. So thank you for asking that question, Kirsten, because who here would love to love yourself more? Type a yes. Who would here would love to love themselves more? Because we're going to use that love word a lot this week. And it's really important that we do that. So as we're talking about this is the simple truth we're talking about. This work is based on that one simple truth, that the thoughts and the feelings and behaviours create every outcome and result you've got in your life. And if you approach this week as information, you will leave with a lot of notes. Yeah? Who here, whose hand is already hurting with the amount of notes we're taking? If you approach it as the decision point, you will leave changed. So decide now how you're going to enter into this space for the full week, because there's so much to come. So much to come. Yeah, be happy. Happy, love, respect, whatever that may be. Okay, this is what we're going to be doing this week. So if you're choosing to engage fully with this process, to stay with it even when it's hard, and take responsibility for your own experience, I want you to type "I'm in" the chat. Let's declare this. We're a team together this week. You might even know each other and never speak to one another. You're in the chat. I'm in, and let's collectively, let's change our lives. Collectively, be 1% better. Collectively, make a decision that you want more, and you're drawing a line in the sand and you're ready to get going. Who's in here? Who's making the decision? Because that's all it starts from. Good, thank you. Yes, Lily. Yes, Nikki. Yes, Karen. Yes, Kirsten. That's all we need to do. That's how easy it is to make a decision. Okay? So we're going to begin this week by doing this. Because over the next 5 days, it's going to be really simple. Really, really simple. Structured process, beginning every evening at 7 p.m. There might even be bonus sessions coming in. Each session built on the last. And if you miss one day, don't worry about it. You catch up and replay. Okay? Nothing here is random. And we want to be very clear about this. Whatever we ask you to do it right away. Thank you, Angie. Do it right away. Because the biggest problems that humans have is hesitation. Our subconscious mind loves action. And if we hesitate, it assumes there's danger. Have you all seen the movie Inside Out? A children's movie with a lot of characters inside a little girl's head. A lot of people that live in our heads say, oh, he or she's not taking action, there must be danger afoot. And so it floods our bodies with chemicals associated with keeping you delayed. That makes sense? Yeah? So don't wait, don't think about it for hours. Do it. And hear this, there is no right, there's no wrong, there's no good, there's no bad, there's no judgment. If you're willing to do the work as it's given, I want you to type "got it" in the chat. Because persistence is key. Little and often, daily case. Do the work, put in the chat. Got it in the chat. If you got it in the chat, we'll send you a little gift afterwards in the email. We've got a little gift to give away tonight. It's all about taking action. Love it, love it, love it. And remember, tonight, just before we go into setting goals, everything's in your portal. We've got the workbook as well, so make sure you've got this either electronically or even just printed out, because we're going to go through this each night. There's a Facebook group, so make sure you join the Facebook group because that's where the homework's going to be put in. And yes, we're going to do a little bit of homework after tonight. And this workbook will be your guide. This is the process. You don't need to figure anything out. We've done it all for you. This is the process. This is how you take an idea from your mind's eye and turn it into reality. We've done all this work to make it easy for you. Nikki spent hours putting this workbook together for you. A proven success strategy. All you need to do is follow it, step by step, like a recipe for brownies. Step by step, or you get pure gold. So, are we ready? Are we ready to talk about goals tonight? Because tomorrow we've got a little bit of something to help you with your goals. But tonight I want to talk to you, like what it says in your workbook, about ABC goals. So when we're talking about goals, it's really important that we really get an understanding of the foundation of the work that we're talking about. And Bob Proctor, that we met at the start of tonight's call, he taught me absolutely everything I'm about to teach you. Without this material, I wouldn't be here with you right now doing this. For this was once absolutely in my head. It was a dream I didn't even know that I had within me. And once I did know, it was a dream that I resisted for a long, long time, telling myself it wasn't for me, it wasn't available for me, not yet, and yet here we all are. So, as this is our first day, we always start with the foundation, and the foundation is this. You need to be defining the goal, sticking with it through persistence. And that's why on this first day that we always begin here. And do you know what the foundation is? It's defining the goal, having the end result in mind. Stephen Covey, who wrote the wonderful book, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, said, always start with the end in mind. And Bob Proctor, through his work, would say that only 3 people out of 100 know exactly what they want, which means only 3% of people know where they're going in life. That's called, in our world, the 3% club. Are you part of the 3% club or the 97% club? Do you want to be part of the 3% club? Because after tonight, you can be there. Because you already know this, some of you, that people who know what they want, meaning they've got a goal and they have it written down, are far more likely to achieve their goals far more often. And we know this. So why don't we do this? Now, people think the word manifesting is a little bit woo and kind of out there. But all it means is that you've taken an idea from your imagination, from fantasy, from dreams, and you've made it into physical reality. In our academy, we go a little bit deeper into that manifestation process. But that's all it is. You move from the seed of imagination, seedling of achievement. And that's it. We do it all the time. When you look at your phone, somebody imagined that. Look at the screen you're looking into. Somebody imagined that. 20 years ago, if someone had said that, we would have said, you're crazy. On mobile phones, with a television on that, and everything else. But now it's second nature. If you don't have one in your phone, people look at you going, what's wrong with you? People are doing this all the time. You've been doing it all the time. But here's the thing. 10 years ago, I was doing it all the wrong way. I was thinking about all the things that I didn't want. I was thinking about the how I didn't want to be, all these different things. I was thinking about the debt. I was thinking about the job I was stuck in. I was thinking about the manager that I didn't like. All these different things. All these problems. And guess what? That's what I got. Because what you focus on expands. The subconscious mind doesn't do negatives. Remember what we said earlier? It's like a computer. That psycho mechanism. If you typed into Google, I don't want spag bol for tea, what do you think would come up for? Recipes for spaghetti bolognese. So this week, we're going to get you thinking differently. We're going to get you designing the life you actually want. You're here because you want to create a better life. You want to create a new reality. But some of you might be saying, yeah, but I know what I want. Okay, I get that. That's okay. So let's slow this down. Before you try to change anything, everything starts with knowing what you want. Because how will you know, you, me, all of us, what actually needs to change if I don't know what we want? And this is where people usually say to me, I think I know what I want, but something's holding me back. Something's in the way. And you'll tell me what you think it is. It could be fear. It could be a lack of belief. It could be a story that we're playing in our mind all the time. It could be the past. It could be other people. It could be something on the outside of you. It could be the economy. It could be money. It could be experience. It could be skills. It could be awareness, and on and on and on. But the question is, how are you going to do that? Has stopped more people than almost anything else. This is not about the how. Tomorrow, when we meet again, and tomorrow is about understanding how the mind works and how we eliminate the obstacles that are in our way. But for tonight, well, Think and Grow Rich talks about this. If anybody's ever wrote, there's another book, Think and Grow Rich, you must first know what you want. That is the foundation, because until you know the destination, you don't know where you're going. And that's why the goal matters. Napoleon Hill said, a man with no goal is drifting. A man with no goal does not think. A man with no goal will not achieve much. Now, I don't mean just man, that's metaphorically, us, but male or female. Why? Because he moves like a piece of wood in the sea. The waves push him one way, then another. He follows other people. He reacts. He doesn't choose. The goal is the most important thing. Everything else, mindset, subconscious, reprogram of our mind, that mental ability, we will talk about all of that. But this week, we'll give you everything. And this is for free. So who here, and I want you to, out of 10, 1, no idea, 10, exactly I know, rate yourself of where you are and knowing what you want. If somebody says, what do you want? Are you 1, I've got no idea, 10, I know exactly what I want. Rate yourself. Remember, no right, no wrong, no judgment, no good, no bad. Give me a number of how well do you know what you want. Is it 1, no idea, that's why I'm here. 10, I know exactly where I'm going, but something's blocking me, whatever that may be. And again, there's no right or wrong with what this is. Rate yourself for what you want. Because whatever that number is, it's giving you an indication of your port of call, like going on holiday. So for today, you've got to think, where are you going? And I like to use the holiday analogy, because when you book a holiday, everything follows to the end result. The destination comes first, then every action lines up with that. And you end up where you plan to go. Now, Earl Nightingale, who was one of Bob Proctor's mentors, and we've got material from Earl as well. When Earl Nightingale asked people in the street, what do you want? Most people didn't understand the question. What do I want? I know what I don't want. He said, no, that wasn't the question. What do you want? Which port are you sailing to? Because ports are different. Some are close, some are far, some are small, some are big. And I pack up every year to go to America, or I may go to somewhere in Europe. But I pack differently depending on the climate and the destination. The 2 places I travel to often, which is America and is Europe, the temperature may be different. Now, you may think by going to America that's going to be really warm, but in Arizona, sometimes of the year, it can be quite cool. So I've got to pack extra clothes, where sometimes when I go across to Cyprus or Greece, then it's a little bit warmer all year round. So in the evening, it's a lot warmer. So again, I'll pack differently. The preparation for going for a dog walk in the local forest is very different from preparing and taking my dog up a massive Munro. And the key thing here is that we see things differently. We plan for things differently. Completely different destinations create completely different routes. And this is what this first part here is all about. Giving you an understanding yourself of where you want to go. Lily's saying, I've always known what I want, but I feel blocked and doubting myself. And that's okay, because we're going to be talking about decision making as well this week. Because sometimes it's not the doubt, but it's the decision that we're going to do. So as we go through this tonight, I want us to understand that this GPS system we've got built inside of us really takes us to where we're going to go. So we go back to psycho-cybernetics. So let's think today, tomorrow, this week. Some of you may already know where you're going to. But because from that destination depends on how you prepare for a journey, how your inner mechanism of success works will be dictated. So did you know that the GPS system impacts that? Because nobody told me that. Maybe they forgot, or maybe they didn't know, but there isn't something that gives us this guidance every single day. And in this, Maxwell Maltz talks about this all the time. I would recommend you read this. It talks about we've got a built-in GPS system. We are goal-striving organisms, but only create success when it has a destination. When you don't give it a destination, something there to aim for, then its goal is safety, which is, in this case, means familiarity. The goals system is set to make you happy, to keep things familiar. But goal setting is not just about getting, achieving. Here's my question to you before I just bring tonight's kind of night to a close. What do you think the true purpose of a goal is? What is the purpose of a goal? Because some people think that goal setting and setting goals is to achieve. But it's not. The true purpose of a goal is to grow. And advancements in neuroscience have confirmed everything that philosophers and mystics and other people were guided by intuition said a long time ago. Every human being has literally created for success. Everyone. The goal is everything. You cannot do anything without a goal. And that's why in your guide, we're talking about A, B, and C type goals. It might be happiness, Kirsten. It might be focus and direction, Elizabeth. Absolutely. Nikki, to give you something to aim for, to focus your energy, Lily. Yes. But the true purpose of a goal is growth. If there's no growth attached to a goal, it's not going to do what goals are intended for you to do. So you'll see in your guide tonight, we refer to A, B, and C type goals. A type goals are goals that you've done already, no growth attached. You might have bought a car before, you want to do it again, you know how to do this. A B type goal is something you think you can achieve by doing step 1, step 2, step 3, you're guaranteed that result. That's what you think you can achieve. Tonight, I want you to think about what you want, what you really want. And the C-type goal, as it's described in your handout, is going after something you've never done before, something that excites you and scares you at the same time. So as we kind of bring tonight's call to a close, you've got some homework to do. I want you to really think about your C-type goal and how your body reacts. Ask, what do you really, 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 really want? You'll feel excitement, you feel fear. The fear doesn't mean to stop. It means growth is required. Because I had one C-type goal, and that was to work with Bob Proctor. And I'm now doing that. Although he's no longer here, I'm still working with Bob every single day. I had no idea how, no money, no time, no connections, but yeah, here I am. And if one person can do it, anybody can do it. And this is not magic. This is for some, not just for some special people. This is how human beings work. So if you can feel like a goal like this inside you right now, a C-type goal, type yes. If you think you've got a C-type goal in here, type yes. Just choose one goal, one direction. You can't go to New York the same way as you go to Tokyo. Today, your work is simple. Simple doesn't mean easy. If it was, everybody else would be doing it. And we'll talk to you tomorrow why most people give up. So you know. So you get to do something different and not be like most people. But today, simply decide now on what is that you really, really want. What you want, not what your wife wants, your husband wants, anybody else, what you want. Children, colleagues, friends, family, you. The inner voice, that intuition that's calling you, trying to get your attention, that bit. Not when you think about it, when you shut down just as quickly, that goal. Catch it before you shut it down. Be brave. Say it aloud to yourself. Or in the chat. Or the homework tonight, as we've got on this page here, we're going to be writing out your goal. We're going to write your goal on this goal card. You're going to print this sheet out, and then the goal is going to be C-type, the one that requires your attention, the one that pulls you. It could be professional, it could be personal, it could be business, it could be health, it could be a relationship, but it's the one that matters the most to you right now. Of course, you can have more than one goal, but right now I want you to choose one. And I want you to write it clearly on here. Now, tomorrow at 2 p.m. in Zoom, and the Zoom link's going to be in the emails we sent out and in the WhatsApp chat, there is a link to come with us at 2 p.m. tomorrow, UK time, to really think about how we help you design this goal for you. Now, it starts here with one sentence. I am so grateful and happy now that what? We want to see, what do you have? Who are you? Be specific. Not a good life, not a lot of money. How much money? Be specific. What kind of life? Be specific. What exactly does healthy mean? Right in the present tense, as if it's already happened. As if you tore this card out of a notebook and said, this is my reality. Write how you feel, write how you are. Who are you? Because if you earn 50,000 a month, you're not the same person as before. You think differently, you decide differently. Do not write what you don't want. Do not write about debts. Do not write about illness. Because be careful what you write about. In as much detail as possible. A house on the sea, you can end up in the south of Spain or Arbroath next to us here. Be specific. Think about what you want to get with this goal achieved. How will it feel when you have it? That is critical. Getting emotionally involved in that. And you will find the goal card here in the workbook, print it out, or you can cut it out. Or if you don't have a printer, just take a piece of paper and be creative. It does not matter. Use a blue pen. Use a blue pen. We'll tell you why later. Because it's all about the subconscious mind and getting emotionally charged. Okay? Who's up for doing this homework? And once you've done this, you're going to put it in the Facebook group. Who's up for doing the homework? Type homework in the chat as your final task for tonight. And those who take action get rewarded. And tomorrow, if you take action, you'll be given gifts away. And this is what this is all about. Type homework in if you're committed to doing this. Love it, love it, love it. Well, this was 1 hour tonight. Okay, we're going to be here slightly longer tomorrow night. Nikki should be back tomorrow night. But remember, print this out, write in here, take a photo, add it to the Facebook group, and we will help you. We will look at it, we will give you feedback, and if everything's great, we'll congratulate you, we will clap you, and all of that. But we're here tomorrow in Zoom at 2 p.m. if you want help with this as well. We will draw somebody up tomorrow who has done this, who has done the homework. Homework is implementation, not theory. So this is what we're doing tonight. Okay, don't feel safe. Do it within 24 hours, and tomorrow night we will congratulate you. Loving the commitment. So Lily and Kirsten and Karen and Nikki and Maria and everybody else who's been here tonight, thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm going to leave you with Bob and the starting point again tonight. If you've never seen this at the start, you'll get the opportunity to watch this again. We'll be back again here tomorrow at 7 p.m, but also 2 p.m. tomorrow if you want help really defining that goal. So thank you for tonight. I'll leave with Bob. Speak soon.
Thomas Troward talked about the starting point. I love that man's work. I truly love it. Now, the starting point is such a magnificent concept. It's something that you can read over and over and over again. He says it's an old saying that order is heaven's first law. And like many other old sayings, it contains a much deeper philosophy that appears immediately on the surface. Order is heaven's first law. Calm. Everything positive you can think of. You could speak in superlatives all day long and you'd still fall short. You're talking about something beyond the scope of our vocabulary. All of our words in our vocabulary are third dimensional words. And when you get into talking about God, Spirit, Infinite, you don't have a word in your vocabulary to describe that. You've gone beyond the third dimension. So we're talking about something that's so good, you can't even describe it. That's a heavenly state. Now he says, getting things into a better order is the great secret of progress. It's the great secret of progress. If you want to make progress, make order essential in your life. Got to have order. We're now able to fly through the air, not because the laws of nature have been altered, but because we have learned to arrange things in the right order to produce this result. If all things are possible, we've always been able to fly. It was because we learned to arrange things in the right order to produce that result. Well, if you want to get a result you haven't got, if you want a result beyond where you're at, you got to get things into a better order. Things themselves had existed from the beginning of the world. What was wanting was the introduction of the personal factor. You'll hear people say, God will do it. God will not do it. You got to do it. God works to and through you, but you've got to do it. It doesn't matter what's happened in the past. You and I are created beings. We can go with our mind and we can take ourselves there and we say, I'm going to do this. I'm going to bring this into form. I can see it. I can see it. If I can hold it in my head, I can hold it in my hand. Get serious, for goodness sake.